What's up, everyone? This is Maayan Gordon. I'm the owner of Maayan Gordon Media. I'm a glassblower. I'm an influencer. I'm a creative thought leader. And today we're going to talk a little bit about influencer marketing. So if you have any questions, as always, post them in the comments along with what is one thing you guys are grateful for today. And today I am grateful for conversation. And that's kind of going to be the topic of today's discussion. Conversation in the same vein there. So conversation is something that provides and creates value at the same time, which is a really interesting thing if you think about it. There are not many things in life that are both producing and conducing value at the same time so that you can absorb positive energy, positive information, positive value, and at the same time give it within the same way that it could really run forever. I forget the name of the machine, the theoretical machine that can run itself forever. But it is like that in conversation. And that's why people can have, right, 12 hours, we talked all night and didn't even notice. Like, that's crazy. How can human beings spend 10, 12, 20 hours in a singular conversation and not have felt fatigue from it? That's a fascinating concept. So how does this play into internet marketing? Well, that's a great question. And the answer is that influencer marketing really, really relies heavily on conversations, not conversions, conversations. Yes, conversions too. And what I mean by that is a large part of creating an influencer network, a large part of bringing on influencers who are going to represent your brand or your business relies upon you vetting and finding out who those influencers are. Not because some influencers are bad and others are good in a very binary way, although let's be honest, some are better than others in general, objectively, but really because some are a much better fit for your brand than others. And this doesn't have to do with their view count, doesn't have to do with their audience size. It has to do with who they are and how they produce content, and therefore what that content looks like. This is why I always recommend any business, and on the contrary side, any influencer, investing a good amount of time up front before a relationship, a formal business relationship, is formed. Get to know the brand. Get to know the influencer. See if you guys create value in conversation together. Because if you can't create value in conversation with someone, it's unlikely you'll be able to create value outside of the conversation. This is why, actually, I popped on. We're supposed to be live at 5. It's actually 6 p.m. I was in such a great conversation and discussion with Jessie Johnson, who is both my business coach and my new partner for the coaching group that we're starting up. And we were talking about influencer marketing and ways that us together could combine our skill sets to create an immense amount of value within the influencer marketing system. Here's why. I think that brands, and especially agencies, are not putting enough emotional investment into their influencers in a way where they're having conversation that they're not trying to get anything out of the influencer other than a deeper connection, a better understanding of who that person is. Because if you can really understand who someone is, you will know whether or not they will be a good influencer for you. And same thing on the influencer side. If you do not like talking to this brand, if you do not think you're creating value in conversation with them, it's going to be hard for you to then use that exact same brain that you have and create value in a video. They're both creative processes. You guys, talking, conversating is a creative process. You get to choose from many, many different words, and your brain has to put them in an order when it has many different orders it could choose from. Whenever you have choice, you're going to have a lot of creativity involved also. What's up, everyone? I want to give some shout outs. We got, I'm going to mispronounce, I'm just going to say Jose. I see that's your middle name, but shout out Jose. We got Alex, who's grateful for being able to give. Absolutely. We got Sharon. Why is SEO Adelaide important for local business? Is that a person? I don't know what or who SEO Adelaide is. So give me more info. And then we got a Facebook user who says, hey girl back. It won't show me your name, but let's see if I could guess. Elena, maybe? I don't know. And then we got Jeremy from Wisconsin. Awesome. Thanks for joining, Jeremy. Michael says he feels that taking is a lot art in this. Oh, talking is a lot like art in this modern world. Absolutely. I completely agree. There's an absolute art to talking, not only when it comes to word choice, but when it comes to tone, when it comes to accent, as much as our accents are influenced by the geography and location that we grow up in, we actually choose our own accents. No one talks about this that I've heard of, but it's really fascinating concept that we choose how we speak in minute detail, whether we sound like this or whether we sound like that. You know, like the tone of our voice really, and tone's not the pitch of our voice is something that we very much control and actually will alter in different situations. For example, when I say hi to someone that I already know, it's more normal voice like this, but almost 100% of the time when a stranger walks by on the street and I want to say hello, for some reason my brain goes an octave higher. Hello. It always happens and I feel weird afterwards. But it's a brain thing. It's a choice that my brain's making because my brain thinks, and I've thought a lot about this, my brain thinks that a higher pitch voice sounds more friendly. And I love being friendly to strangers. I think it's a really fun, awesome thing to do. And so automatically, without me thinking or consciously making this choice, when I see strangers and I do the automatic response, because it is pretty automatic now, I'd be like, hey, how's it going? Hey, how's it going? It doesn't go quite that high, but there's like this pitch that my brain has picked. And paying attention to all of these things is not only something that will make you more aware and connect deeper within your conversations, but it will really allow you to take better control of your communication style to be effective in the way that you want to be effective. I would imagine most of you watching this, again, I'm saying most of you because myself included, there are some conversations I have that don't kind of go the way I wanted them to. Most of them do. Honestly, most of my conversations are amazing. But every so often, there's a conversation and I go, man, that's not what I wanted to have happen in that conversation. They did not feel the way I wanted them to feel. Let me reflect on how that happened and why that happened. And they are choices that once you reflect on them, you can change. So I would say really look at the conversations you're having in the influencer marketing world, whether you're an influencer approaching brands or whether you're a brand approaching influencers. If you're not meeting your goals through the conversations that you're having, it might just be because of how you're having those conversations, the number of conversations you're having, or the words that you're using in the conversations. But really reflect, and I think that you'll all start to notice really correlations between either a tone, a word, or a feeling that you got in the outcome of the conversation, of the whole conversation. So going from minute detail to kind of broader picture of what that consequently looks like is a really great thing to practice that will incrementally make you better and better at forming valuable relationships where you are both providing value to each other in a very meaningful way and very consistently, where it doesn't feel like you're fishing for influencers, right? It feels like you're harpooning them. Like you see these big fish, they're beautiful, they're awesome, and you throw out your net to catch them and you scoop them right in. Except that the fish aren't really happy to see you. That's a bad example because fish do not like getting scooped out the water. And in this scenario, I guess it's more I don't like this connotation towards the influencers, but it's more like going to the pound and like the influencers are puppies in the pound and they already love you. And you're like, I choose you, puppy. You're so cute. You're going to fit perfectly into my family. It's actually kind of like that. You're going to fit perfectly into my family, to my brand's family. Come on home. Let's make this work. And you guys hit it off from day one. And it's like an instant, amazing relationship. And forever on, your life is better. Both of your lives are better. That's how I see influencer marketing when it works right and when it's done well. If you guys ever have any questions around needing some advice for setting up an influencer marketing campaign, for creating your own influencer network. I think these are incredibly valuable things to create and facilitate. And I love helping businesses figure out how to structure that, create processes around it, and create the communications and then execute on those communications. So if you ever are interested in influencer marketing, please feel free to reach out to me. I love hopping on, quick 15-minute phone calls to just kind of share ideas and advice. We got a couple more people in the house. What's good, Mark? We got Stuart, who's grateful for the knowledge to help others. Yes, you guys, it's key. A key to being happy is giving back. Not only does it help you form relationships and deepen bonds, but it makes you feel significant. And as human beings, we have a desire, an uncurable desire to be significant because of our awareness of how really we're not. We look at the stars and we see how nothing and how little we are. And therefore, it's so important to us, by contrast, to be important in some way, whatever that means to us. So, thinking about all these different things and how to incorporate them into your communications and into your conversations is a really powerful thing, a really powerful tool. And I would encourage you to think about the difference between conversations you had where it felt like time wasn't even passing, where you looked at your watch and wow, it's already been 2 hours. Darn, I got to get to my next meeting. I wish I could talk to you all day. Really think about the words in that conversation, the tone, what was going on in that conversation that made it so completely the opposite of another conversation you've had where even 15 minutes in that conversation felt like 2 hours, right? Where every couple seconds you were thinking in your head, oh my God, will they stop talking so I can say something and kind of close out this conversation and get them off the phone. Think about the words again, think about the tone, and really try and figure out why were those two conversations so different, and apply that information and that knowledge that you come up with, test it out, be a scientist, experiment a little in terms of having conversations with people and applying those new hypotheses that you've developed, those new ideas, those new patterns that you start to see. And I think that you'll be really, really encouraged by the results, because conversations drive our relationships, right? Whether those conversations are digital through text, whether those conversations are in person with our mouths, and no digital technology assisting, us being able to converse and talk to each other in a way that makes us emotionally feel good and provides emotional value is everything. It's everything that makes society run. It's everything that makes us feel good. It's everything that has helped us work together to build this incredible planet that we get to live on. So I encourage you guys all at the end of this, when I close out here in just a minute, to start a conversation with maybe someone that you wouldn't normally start a conversation with. And pay attention to the words you're using, the tone you're creating, and the value that is created through those elements of the conversation. Because I think the more that you pay attention to it, not only the more will you see it, but the more you'll be able to control it and amplify the value that you're creating in conversation. Think about that. Imagine if you were able to double the value you had in every conversation. Think about how many conversations you have in a day. Think about over your lifetime, how much extra value you'd be providing in the thing you're already going to do. Just by paying a little bit of attention, being a little bit curious, a little bit brave in terms of experimenting and saying things, and always honest, genuine, and caring. Make sure that you always care about other people's feelings, because the second that you stop, it will always translate and come through within your conversation. Our words mirror our thoughts. Our words mirror our energy. So the more you can have pure, positive energy and thoughts, the better your conversations are going to flow, the more they're going to improve, and overall, the better your life's gonna get, right? So that's all I have to share with you guys today. I'd love for you all to think about that. Shout out a couple more people in the group who joined. We got Wins Jobs, what's good? We got David, who says, hi, Maayan, what you said around being able to control how we say what we say was really interesting. Are there any books I'd recommend around this? So that's a great question. Are there any books around? I'm sure that there are. I have not specifically read any books to generate these ideas around conversation. It's really having had conversations. Isn't that funny? conversation's what made me think about conversation. In fact, specifically what made me decide this topic matter for this particular live episode is that I got off the phone in a conversation that I was having with Jesse, and I realized it was 6 o'clock and that I have my daily Live at 5 show that I always do at 5, and that I even always have relatively in the forefront of my mind. I'm not always thinking about the Live at 5 show, but I'm almost always very aware of it. And as it gets closer, as it gets 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, I start becoming a little bit more focused and attentive towards what that's going to be and what I'm going to say and the energy I'm going to have around that. And today I forgot about Live at 5 until I looked and saw it was 6 p.m. and thought, I didn't do my Live at 5. And the reason for that was the value being created in our conversation. And not even necessarily in value in terms of that I was making Jesse happy and he was making me happy. Although both those things are true. Like, we liked talking to each other. It was fun. But the value of the ideas that we were forming and that we know we're going to take action on later on, that's what made it such a great conversation. I'm sure you guys have all been there in a conversation where you're talking about an idea that is so exciting, so valuable, so could be real. Like, it really, if you did just these couple things, it's going to be from an idea to a reality, to something real and tangible. That is so exciting. That is so much value that you're feeling, that you're seeing. It's like when you see a beautiful stone or a diamond, like, it gives you energy, right? When you see powerful artwork, it gives you energy in this really interesting, powerful way. And so I think that conversation is one of the best ways you can learn more and understand more about conversation. So instead of reading a book, I would take all that book. Like, if you were going to read, let's say, 10 pages a day, and those 10 pages took you 30 minutes or 45 minutes, let's say they took you an hour. Instead, if you spent maybe 15 minutes reading or 30 minutes reading and the other 30 or 45 minutes having a conversation with someone that you normally do not talk to, maybe a stranger, someone you've never met before, and you did it first with the context where going into the conversation, in your head, you went, I'm going to pay attention to what I say and how I say it and how the person feels. And then afterwards, you took 5-10 minutes to reflect and make more connections in your head around those dots, that you would get incredibly better at conversating, that you would find you have a highly increased ability to create value in conversation, not just in terms of how you're speaking, who you're speaking to, but in terms of the ideas that you're generating. And this is a really powerful thing. It's very empowering to feel and to experience. And I would say that knowledge in your head will only ever get you so far. Knowledge spoken out loud is where all the reward lies. Yes, there's some reward in the knowledge you use to take action but do not speak. But even more powerful than that is the information and the value you take into your head that you speak. Because speaking in words have a power that surpasses almost anything else on the planet. And the reason for that is because when we hear words, we take them into the voice that is our own voice. And our own voice does many, many different things with words, from questioning the words to experimenting in putting those words in different places in our life, in our head, in sentences, to deconstructing words and what they mean and what they're made out of and how they get there. But our brain has such an immense computing ability that when we input words through sound into our head, we're able to do immense and powerful things with them in a different way, a very different way than when we put words into our head through seeing them. Yes, that's powerful, but I truly believe, and have absolutely no proof other than my life experiences and the other people I've talked to, that hearing words is much more powerful than reading words. And that a sentence or a phrase that was said the right way will stick in your mind forever. And yes, you can have things that you read also stick in your mind forever, but most likely only because the voice in your head said it in a powerful way. And that voice that we have in our head, or the voice that we're hearing through the lens of our brain, right? Because no matter how someone says it, we're always going to do something with it that tweaks it just a little. We consume information through a bias. Now, bias has a kind of bad connotation to it, but bias just means that we're influenced by factors. And that is true. As a human being, you have been influenced by factors, setting, people, experience, so many things. And because of that, the way that we interpret conversation, the way that we interpret language, the way that we interpret words is always going to be more powerful in a voice than in something that's a little less, I would say, concrete in our mind. So I hope this has been some interesting things for you guys to think about. I'm going to look through the comments here one more time, see if we have any questions. Awesome. You guys are amazing. As always, please do feel free to reach out to me. Here is my email address right there. Right now, I'm actually not doing a lot of video production. I'm really starting to focus solely on coaching and consultancy. That seems to be not only where I have the most passion and I would say value to add, but also where people seem to have the most interest in me being able to provide that value and seeing the real, I'd say, multiplying effect. Like, right, there is something really powerful in compounding value-wise about learning new information that you then apply. Like, there's something outside of the value you get right there from that action process that is a compounding type of value as it ripples outwards as you continue to progress and gain skill. And so that's where I really love helping out businesses, brands. I consult in terms of market research, in terms of analyzing videos, in terms of analyzing customers and other social media platforms that you might be on to pull out information and data that you're not aware of. And I really love overall strategy, you guys. I'm someone who I love the minute and I love the macro. Those are my two areas that I just love to dive into. So thinking, what is the exact puzzle piece that fits with this puzzle piece? And then also thinking about what is the entire picture of the puzzle that we're trying to build. And because we actually have the puzzle built up in several different sections right now, what could it look like? Could we actually build an entirely different puzzle? And what would that be? And then how can we use that vision of a different puzzle to analyze and help us really understand the puzzle we're actually trying to create? So I love, love, love comparative analysis. I didn't go to school for any of this, you guys. I dropped out of college. I was going to Occidental College to get a chemistry degree because when I grew up, my entire life until I dropped out of college, I wanted to be a veterinarian. I was 100% sure, you guys, which is part of why I think I'm never afraid to be wrong and make a full 180 on things that I've said in the past is, you know what? I did believe 100% that I wanted to be a veterinarian till I got new information. And I was like, that's not a good idea. Yeah, like I don't want to do that anymore. That's not the choice for me. And then I dropped out of college, got into copywriting, did that freelance full-time for a while before starting up my own businesses. But I love, love, love helping people understand lots of creative options that they have, analyzing those different options, and then matching those analyses up to actual goals that you have already set for your business or your brand. Hit me up anytime. I love talking, love conversating. You guys have an amazing night, and we will get here to the outro.